Welcome to the deep dive. We're going straight into the big headlines from India today, May 4th, 2025. Lots to cover, so let's jump right in. First up, some real drama on the cricket pitch last night.
Oh, absolutely. That IPL match, Royal Challengers Bengaluru against Chennai Super Kings, it was, well, a nail-biter.
Seriously, RCB pulling off a two-run win, defending 15 in that final over. Intense.
Yeah, young Yash Dayal holding his nerve against, Dhoni and Jadeja. That's immense pressure.
Totally. Chennai almost got there, 211 chasing 213. A fantastic effort, even though it means they're out of the playoff hunt.
Right. And interestingly, Dhoni apparently felt afterwards he might have changed his approach. Some self-reflection there.
Always thinking. But RCB gets their 8th win, puts them right at the top of the table. Great stuff for them.
Definitely a match people will be talking about.
Okay, shifting from the excitement of sport to something much more serious. Developments regarding that terror attack in Pahalgam, Kashmir.
Yes, and this is disturbing. It seems there were actually intelligence warnings before the attack happened on April 22nd.
Warnings? What kind of warnings?
Specifically about potential threats to tourists near Srinagar. Security was supposedly tightened, but, well, obviously the attack still happened. 26 people lost their lives.
That's awful. And the fact there were warnings. It raises questions, doesn't it, about, communication or response protocols.
It certainly does. The official account suggests local help guided 2 Pakistani operatives to that food court.
And the suspected motive. Officials seem to think it was about spreading fear, maybe even sparking wider violence.
Possibly, yeah. And maybe trying to disrupt the upcoming railway link inauguration, although bad weather might have interfered with those specific plans, ironically.
What about the weapons used? I heard reports they were quite advanced.
That's another worrying aspect. M-series rifles, armor-piercing bullets mentioned. There's speculation about links to weapons flows possibly connected to Afghanistan.
And the administration's response.
They've stated that tourism, while important economically, isn't really a sign of peace itself. They also reiterated protecting Kashmiri civilians and stopping house destructions during operations.
And there were protests too, right? After the attack.
Yes, spontaneous protests broke out in Kashmir. Shows how raw the situation is.
A very complex and tragic situation. Okay, let's move to something completely different. A positive step in India's defense tech.
Indeed. A big achievement for the DRDO, the Defense Research and Development Organization. They've successfully tested an indigenous stratospheric airship.
Stratospheric, so really high up.
Very high. It reached 17 kilometers. That's, over 55,000 feet. And it stayed up for 62 minutes during this first trial in Shibpur, Madhya Pradesh.
Wow. That sounds like pretty advanced technology. Not many countries have that capability, do they?
Very few. The key advantage is persistent surveillance. Being that high up, absolutely. The DRDO chairman, Samir Kamad, highlighted exactly that enhanced situational awareness for the defense forces. It's a major move towards self-reliance in critical tech.
And potential non-military uses too.
Definitely. Think about disaster response, getting real-time imagery, or large-scale environmental monitoring. Lots of possibilities.
Fascinating. From high-tech surveillance, let's turn to the justice system, specifically mediation. The Chief Justice of India, Sanjeev Khanna, spoke about this recently.
Yes, at the first National Mediation Conference. He made a really strong case for it, actually. He described typical courtroom outcomes as potentially grim and shallow.
Grim and shallow? How so?
Well, his point was that courts often produce a winner and a loser, but might not get to the root cause of the conflict.
Whereas mediation?
Mediation aims deeper. It tries to understand the underlying issues and find solutions that are more complete and hopefully lasting. He particularly praised the idea of community mediation in the new Mediation Act of 2023.
Right, resolving local disputes that way. It's catching on.
The numbers suggest it is. Apparently, around 757,000 cases were resolved through mediation between 2016 and early 2025. That's quite significant.
It really is. And the focus is different, isn't it? More humane.
Exactly. It's voluntary, people participate directly, and the goal is reconciliation, finding common ground rather than just deciding who's right or wrong. Justice Khanna mentioned skilled mediators can often sense those unspoken tensions too.
Interesting perspective. Okay, now some concerning news from abroad. Reports of Indian workers being abducted in Niger.
Yes, this happened on April 25th. 5 migrant workers, all from Jharkhand, were taken.
Do you know their names, who they worked for?
Their names are Sanjay Mato, Raju Mato, Chandrika Mato, Faljit Mato, and Uttam Mato. They were working for Kalpataru Projects International Limited.
And how did it happen?
They were in a company bus in the Tilbury region, which is known to be quite volatile, and the bus apparently got stuck in sand. Armed attackers then seized them.
And this region, it's known for instability.
Yes, heavily. There's a significant jihadist insurgency there, with groups linked to both al-Qaeda and ISIS operating in the area. This abduction also happened just a day after 12 soldiers were killed nearby.
So, a very dangerous environment. The families must be terrified.
Understandably so. Khartoum's chief minister, Sorin, has appealed to the central government for help to secure their release. And you can imagine the anxiety among the other workers still there.
A really difficult situation. Let's bring it back home now to the political arena. Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge has taken aim at the Prime Minister over Manipur.
He has. His main criticism centers on what he termed a failure to uphold Rajdharma.
Rajdharma, can you explain that briefly?
Sure. It essentially means the duty or righteousness of a ruler, the moral and ethical responsibility to govern justly and protect all citizens. Kharge argues the PM hasn't fulfilled this regarding Manipur. By not visiting the state, despite the violence that's been going on for 2 years now. He contrasted this with the PM's numerous trips elsewhere, both domestic and international, since his last Manipur rally back in January 2022.
And the Congress Party wants elections there.
Yes, they're demanding state elections be held, arguing it's necessary to address the situation properly. Karshi is essentially asking, where's the political accountability for the ongoing unrest?
It highlights the ongoing political debate and pressure over the Manipur situation.
Definitely. A very visible point of contention.
Okay, now shifting to legal news intersecting with the tech world. The CEO of Gradient Technology, Anurag Bajpayee, has been arrested in the U.S.
That's right, and the context is quite serious. It's part of a U.S. investigation into high-end brothels involving allegations of sex trafficking.
And what are the specific charges against Bajpayee?
He's charged with paying for sexual services. The reports mention the women involved were predominantly Asian, and there's concern some might have been trafficking victims.
That's quite something for a CEO of a major tech company. Gradient is valued over $1 billion, isn't it?
It is. He's an MIT graduate, co-founder, a prominent figure. The company has defended him, naturally, expressing confidence he'll be cleared.
What are the courts saying?
Well, court documents apparently detail alleged payments and communications related to these services. It's important to note the current charges are misdemeanors.
Only misdemeanors.
For now, yes. But the reports also stress that the wider investigation into potential trafficking or even racketeering is still active. So this might not be the end of it.
A stark reminder of issues that can surface even in successful businesses. Okay, let's move to something much more positive: agricultural innovation.
Yes, a significant development here. India has developed its very first genome-edited rice varieties designed to be climate resilient.
Genome edited. How does that work?
It uses technologies like CRISPR-Cas, think of it like highly precise genetic scissors, to modify the plant's own genes. It's not like introducing foreign genes, but rather tweaking the existing ones for better traits.
And the goal here is climate resilience.
Exactly. These two new varieties, DRR Dun 100, also called Kamala, and Pusa DST Rice 1, were developed by ICAR, the Indian Council of Agricultural Research. They're designed to boost yields, use less water, and even reduce methane emissions from paddy fields.
That sounds incredibly promising. What kind of impact could they have?
Potentially huge. The estimates suggest if they were grown on just 5 million hectares, it could mean an extra 4.5 million tons of paddy, saving about 7,500 million cubic meters of water and cutting emissions by maybe 20%.
Wow, that's massive. When did this research start?
ICAR began this work back in 2018, building on existing popular varieties. The Agriculture Minister, Shivraj Singh Chauhan, is expected to formally release them soon.
This really aligns with those broader national goals like Viksit Bharat, doesn't it? Towards food security and sustainability.
Absolutely. And they're looking to apply similar techniques to oil seeds and pulses too. India is really positioning itself as a leader in this kind of precision breeding. Though, there are always ongoing discussions about things like intellectual property rights with these technologies.
Right, that's always part of the picture. Now, circling back slightly to dispute resolution, President Murmu also weighed in at that mediation conference.
She did, and her focus was very much on the grassroots level, specifically empowering panchayats, the village councils, to handle local disputes.
So bringing traditional methods into the modern framework.
Precisely. She advocated for extending the new Mediation Act right down to the villages, emphasizing India's long history of settling issues outside of formal courts, often through these local bodies.
It's about leveraging that local wisdom then.
Yes, and she highlighted dialogue, understanding, collaboration as key strengths. She even critiqued how colonial legal systems sometimes undermine these indigenous mechanisms.
Did Chief Justice Khanna agree with that perspective?
He seemed to, yes. He drew that analogy again, courtrooms treating symptoms, while mediation, especially at the community level, addresses root causes. Section 43 of the Act, focusing on community mediation, really speaks to this.
And linking it to constitutional principles.
Exactly. Social justice, accessible justice. Having senior figures like the Union Law Minister and the CJI designate Justice Gavai there also signals strong support for integrating these approaches.
Making justice more accessible and maybe more culturally relevant, especially in rural areas.
That seems to be the goal.
Okay, quick change of pace again, Bollywood finances. Hrithik Roshan's net worth has been making headlines.
Yes, reports are putting his net worth at around 3,100 crore. That apparently makes him the wealthiest star kid in Bollywood right now.
3,100 crore, ahead of people like Salman Khan.
That's what the reports suggest, yeah. Obviously, his film career since his debut back in 2000 is a huge factor.
But it's more than just acting fees, right? He has other ventures.
Oh, definitely. His lifestyle brand, HRX, is reportedly valued very highly, like 7,300 crore, which seems enormous, but that's the figure mentioned, plus his production company, Filmcraft. And numerous endorsements, of course.
And property, cars. The usual signs of major wealth.
Right. Luxurious homes, commercial properties, a collection of high-end cars, plus his reported fee for recent films like Fighter and the upcoming War II is substantial.
And he's directing Krish 4 next, isn't he?
That's the plan. So his influence and financial clout in the industry are undeniable.
Okay, and finally today, we have to address a very sensitive and difficult story. It concerns the Jain practice of Santhara and a young child in Indore.
Yes, this is deeply troubling and complex. Reports emerged about a 3-year-old girl, Viana Jain, undertaking Santhara, which is a religious vow of fasting unto death.
A 3-year-old? How did this come about?
According to reports, she had received a terminal medical diagnosis and treatments had failed. Her parents reportedly consented to her undertaking Santhara. Reports also indicate she subsequently passed away.
And this gained wider attention.
Yes, partly because it was apparently entered into the Golden Book of World Records. But more significantly, it's raised profound legal and ethical questions.
What kind of questions?
A Supreme Court advocate, Ritesh Agarwal, has publicly questioned whether a child that young can truly comprehend death or consent to such a practice. It pits parental rights and religious freedom under Article 25 against child protection laws and the state's duty to protect life.
Hasn't Santhara itself been legally controversial before?
Yes, very much so. The Rajasthan High Court actually banned it in 2015, calling it akin to suicide, but the Supreme Court later stayed that order, so the legal status remains somewhat ambiguous.
And in this specific case, in Indore?
Apparently, the local police weren't even aware initially as no official report was filed. It really highlights the incredibly difficult intersection of deeply held religious beliefs, personal tragedy, and legal frameworks meant to protect children.
A really tough situation with no easy answers.
Not at all. It forces a very hard look at fundamental rights and responsibilities.
So, as we've covered today, quite a range. From that thrilling finish in the IPL to the grave security situation in Kashmir, major tech advancements like the DRDO airship, shifts in legal thinking towards mediation concerning international incidents, political debates, and these deeply personal, ethically complex stories.
It really paints a picture, doesn't it? You see the drive for technological self-reliance alongside efforts to strengthen grassroots justice. You see immense sporting passion next to profound security worries, and personal choices intersecting with national debates about law and religion.
It definitely shows the sheer complexity and dynamism of India right now. These headlines, seemingly disparate, they all weave together somehow to form the current narrative. What does it all tell us about the pulse of the nation?
That's the question, isn't it? It shows a country facing significant challenges, security, social issues, but also one that's innovating rapidly, evolving its institutions, and constantly grappling with its own identity and future.
This has been the Deep Dive, looking closely at today's key stories. We hope it's given you a clearer picture of the major events shaping things right now.
The world keeps moving, and these stories will continue to develop. We'll be here to track them.